you've had some remarkable success. And I just share with the folks where you were at when you came on board and where you've taken your business over the last 6 months or a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see everybody, Mike. Thanks for having me. I'll just open by saying I'm not paid off by Mike or anything like that, but I have great things to say about TRU. It's been a game changer for me. So I'll give you a very quick background of myself. I spent 18 years in sales. I was never a recruiter. I was in tech sales. I spent 10 years at Career Builder and then went into tech and was in tech for a good 6 years before I realized, hey, they keep everything always moves on me. I want to make my own journey here and put everything together and jumped into recruitment. And I spent my first couple of years sort of floundering around. I didn't have a good process in place. I didn't have a niche. I didn't have a real good focus. And so I'm coming up here. This is my 13th month of being part of TRU. And 13 months ago, I had no ATS in place. Since then, I have plugged in an ATS, taken the everything I've learned from TRU, outsourced a number of items so that I could focus on running my business. I've implemented several pieces of technology and found a niche and have hyper focused on that niche. And then last year, I had the best year I've ever had in my overall career. And it's really thanks to TRU. It truly is. TRU gave me the recipe. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to follow. And this is how you build a metrics-based business, which was huge in tech, by the way, right? Which I'm sure many of you know. And they give you the recipe. And not only do they give you the recipe and the strategic coaches to help you get there, but they also give you the mindset coach, which is extremely helpful. You're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get all this activity? And frankly, one of the top reasons of joining was I couldn't figure out a way to scale my business. I was a generalist. I would win an order from my network and then go hunt everybody. And then 3 months of work, it would collapse and I would be fetal position on the ground. And it just felt terrible. And then the shift of, hey, this is how you can make a call to a contact, turn that into a recruiting call, leverage that with other clients, and really scale it by doing four things at once instead of one thing at a time. And you have a mindset coach to walk you through how to kind of stay sane as you're all of a sudden tackling this massive hose coming at you. So I'm very grateful for TRU. I really mean that. They've been extremely helpful and helped me. I would say a lot of my success comes from their recipe and their coaching to get me there. Mike, sorry, I said a lot there, but
Oh, no, no, I appreciate it. Let's say more. Um, what were some of the biggest mental blocks? Because that's a lot of times, like when I've joined coaching programs, I'm like, I need these strategies, which the programs I joined delivered, but I got in my own way. What was like some of the things mentally working, especially like with your mindset coach, without getting too personal, that you had ahas and breakthroughs on?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you have limiting beliefs. I wasn't a recruiter, regardless of my sales success. I had never gone through that program. I always had in the back of my head, I didn't work for Kelly Services. I didn't work for Robert Half. I hadn't gone through that. And you just kind of limit yourself on what you're able to do. I think one of the biggest takeaways from working with a coach like that is hey, you don't need to have all the answers right now, right? You're on the journey. You stay with the process and things will come together. And you kind of don't even believe that as you're going through it, as I know many of you have experienced. But yeah, I mean, if I tapped myself on the shoulder 13 months ago to say I would be here, I would say I don't believe you for a second, just because to scale to that point would be very difficult. So yeah, I mean, you really limit yourself, and they teach you ways to get past that. I mean, if you start thinking this way, restructure your thought, and then refocus on the task, refocus on the metrics, and you get there. And that's really given me the confidence of saying, hey, where can I go in the future now too? Where can I scale to? What's the next thing I'm going to tackle or the next project, which your strategic coach will even help you with. Of let's lay out your project you're going to work on and what you're going to implement in your business, and then tackle it over the next quarter. So that definitely one of the top takeaways.
What are two of the three top processes that had that impact that you put in place?
Yeah, like for my project last quarter was building out all my standard operating procedures, actually putting a whole process in place. If I get in, this is how I get an order, this is what I do with an order, this is how I get a candidate, this is how I go market that candidate, this is what the bucket of individuals that are already stacked within my applicant tracking system to go after. So putting together my whole process end to end and writing that out, and in fact outsourcing that was very helpful. And then that leads me to, another project of outsourcing, right? Relying on overseas help that CRU introduced me to that tackle everything for me now. I run a call, it records, and then my admin overseas picks it up translates it through ChatGPT and drops it into a profile and fills everything out. And I can just use my ATS and send it off. I mean, it's just to learn to outsource and think of my time of, hey, you're worth X amount of dollars, and why are you doing $10 tasks? Extremely helpful to do that. So those were two massive projects, including standing up an ATS last year that I took on.
Last year was a tough year for a lot of people, and you said you had your best year ever. What percentage was your growth?
I grew 300% last year and increased my profit margin about the same.
Wow. And I know you talked about a lot of things, but first, whether someone becomes a client of ours or not, what would like the top three pieces of advice would you give them to make a leap forward?
Of like joining TRU or
Whether they join Recruiter or not, like now that you've go, oh, I can see it now. You need to A, B, and C. Obviously, we'll help them get there, but I want to make sure this is valuable for everyone that's here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Run a metrics-based business. It helps you get past the ups and downs. If you focus on TRU is really big on, all right, how much, what's your revenue you want to make? Let's back that into how many, appointments you need to run, back that into how many new candidates you need to touch, new contacts you need to touch, put all that together, and then focus your week on just get those touches in, get those first time interviews in. If you're if and then that gets you distracted almost from wins and losses and lets you just run. So metrics based business definitely. And then secondly, outsourcing. Don't like I was trying to tackle everything today. I don't source at all. I never source a candidate. I don't even have a LinkedIn seat. I leave that to my overseas team. That's something I don't A enjoy doing, and B is just completely time consuming and something you can do for $10 an hour. And then the last thing I would add is just, have a process and systems in place. I mean, I know this is nothing probably too new to folks, but I didn't have any of those things, and it just really did not help me scale at all. And that's what TRU's helped me with.
And how was the accountability when you first started 13 months ago, going through boot camp kind of?
I mean, Pam's on the call, and you're accountable. You are accountable. And it's great. It really is. I mean, you can't sulk at home. You got to pick up your phone, because I'll tell you, you do not want to show up for that 10 o'clock meeting and put up a goose egg. So it's which is great. Everybody kind of gets into rhythm, and it's positive too. But you're accountable and it's positive. So I thought it was fantastic. And look, last year looked like it would be a terrible year for me too. I mean, the first 6 months was really building out my niche. I wasn't making placements, and it was only the second half of last year that really things started to come into fruition and then carrying into this year. And that
You got
accountability helps. It helps. You just show up, right? Here's a recipe. Here's your physical trainer.
well,
Show up.
what I hear from a lot of people is I didn't want to be the guy in the room because these are small groups. They're like 6, 7 owners, in the accountability part. So it's not a big auditorium. Is I don't want to be the guy in the room that didn't hit his numbers. And if that was the only thing that they clung to, it still got them to their activity goals, which got them to their placement goals.
Yep. And that builds
And
the
then
momentum.
yeah, and then after a month, you've changed your habits.
And it gives you confidence. It gives you confidence. I mean, look, you're like, oh, I built the list that I was supposed to. I'm calling on 50 executives. I don't want to, but it's happening because I'm not, it's worse not to than to show up tomorrow with a goose egg. And then you do it and you're like, oh, wow, 3 executives actually want to talk to me. And your confidence can really uplift from there.
Thanks so much, Dan. Any parting comments? Anything I didn't ask you about you feel is relevant you want to bring up?
No, again, and it's just really it's really a pleasure. It's very helpful. There's also, considerable value too in what Mike's put together with these partnerships from I have Recruit CRM, you guys cut a deal with them. I have my team outsourced overseas, you guys cut a deal with them. All of these things, it's not just one thing of go do it. It's another thing of we have the tools and the partnerships in place to assist you and give you options along the way. And I think that's also an incredible value add. And then lastly, too, the quarterly get-togethers are fantastic. It's just great that you get to go travel somewhere and get everybody together and break down ideas, and that's a really nice part of the program as well. So glad to be here. Thanks for the time, Mike.
Well, thanks so much, Dan. I appreciate you hanging out with us, and thanks for your insights.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.